Wow, thank you so much for coming tonight. You can tell I brought my own cheering section, just in case. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming. This has been an amazing conference, and I don't know if Karen's in the room, but I really want to thank her for putting this on year after year. This is no easy feat. This is a labor of love, and it's a labor of her heart, and it's her sacred purpose. And she and Susan and Sue, thank you. Thank you for an amazing weekend. Now, I've been fortunate enough to hear Cynthia James now 3 times. She was one of the keynotes on Friday night, and she's phenomenal. And I was so inspired last year because she does this interactive talking to you, so that you don't just sit there getting the downloads and get fuzzy-eyed and then leave and not really sure what happened. You know, a little download, but nothing practical. So tonight, I'm also going to be doing an interactive presentation, and each of you should have gotten a cream-colored card. And I will direct you as we go when we're going to use it. If you didn't, raise your hand, because I have 2 beautiful Vanna White-like assistants out there that will pass out the card and a pen to you. And just hold on tight to that, because I will be directing you about when we're going to be using it and when to be answering the questions. So it will be a little bit later on in the talk. Well, my talk is Wake Up. We're the ones we've been waiting for. And I have to tell you, we're hearing that a lot in this 2012 time period, this shift that we're in, this time of transformation. But quite frankly, when I first heard this, my first reaction was, are you kidding me? I'm it? I'm the one that we've been waiting for? And I was not comforted or solaced at all. In fact, all I kept thinking was, oh my God, we're in big trouble. Like, big trouble. Because I don't know about you, I still have a few issues that I'm working on, just a few. And I thought I don't have the answers. And I also look around the world at this time, and although there's a lot of beauty and a lot of transition and a lot of change, there's also a lot of chaos and a lot of change. It's kind of looking like a mess in some quadrants of our reality, at least mine. Things are not as they seem. You know, reality's unraveling right before my eyes. Let's look at the media, the mainstream media. I don't know if you know this, but the media, mainstream media, is only owned by 6 corporations, just 6. And the message is the same message. And that is terror, and that is fear, and that is keeping us paralyzed and keeping us disempowered, right? It's time to turn off the TV. If you have not done that, turn off your TV. It's just time, right? We look around at the environment. Do you know 90% of our oceans are fished out, large fished out? That's a lot, and what's left is toxic and a lot of poisoned fish and poisoned waters. Our water systems, a lot of them are polluted. We have soil erosion, we have deforestation, and something that's very dear to my heart is I am in Peru a lot, and I was there last year, and I didn't realize that Peru has just become part of NAFTA. And in doing that a few years ago, they've moved from about 20% to 70% of their jungle is now open to oil drilling and exploration. That's a big jump. And I have to tell you, when I was there, I was in the jungle, and you're going down the Amazon, and you just see the drills. You see the drilling going on. That's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Our health and healthcare system, well, we're not too healthy, and we're getting unhealthier. And we look around, and we see that the leading cause of disease in America, it's not heart disease or cancer like you thought, or maybe think it is. It's something bizarre called iatrogenesis. Should I do that?
Station break.
Station break. It's kind of hooked up to my... You didn't know you were going to get this, did you? You got to keep this thing sexy. You got to keep your tension up here. Here we go. There you go. All right. Going with
Thanks,
the...
darling.
How's that? Is that better? Yeah. Okay, great. It's called iatrogenesis. And I had never heard of this, but basically it is death by medicine. And I do not mean death by medical malpractice or death by mistake. I mean death by medical practice. So the healthcare practices that are supposed to heal us are actually killing us. Antibiotics breed more disease, bigger diseases. Did you know that pharmaceutical sales annually, globally, are over $1 trillion? Trillion dollars. I mean, that's insane to me. And that 10% of us walking around right now are on antidepressants. And that does not include anti-anxiety meds and all the other stuff that we're on. I don't know, this indicates to me that there's something out of balance. Something's out of balance, right? And our financial institutions, well, not all, but many of them are corrupt. And God bless the Occupy movement, whatever you agree or disagree with it, at least it's bringing awareness to the fact that we've got some greed and some issues out there that are not so hot, right? Right. I didn't realize this. My baby, many of you know my baby Dean, he's always filling me in on the latest Illuminati information, but this one's actually a fact. And it turns out that in 2009, the Federal Reserve Bank had, I think it was $9 trillion of off-balance sheet. I mean, do you know what that means? They lost $9 trillion. And they went before Congress, and they sat in front of Congress. This is on YouTube. I'm not making this up. And they admitted it. They said, yeah, we lost it. And they've gone back a few times since then, and they keep saying, yeah, we still can't find it. Can't find the money. I mean, that's happening. There's some problems going on. And our government, we're in a political season, and I don't know about you, but they don't really feel like they're representing me. Our government's really not of the people. They seem to be very much of the corporation and the corporate interests. They just do. And we cannot have a democracy with secrecy. We cannot live in a democracy without transparency, and we are slowly giving that away. We now have something called the National Defense Authorization Act. This just passed. And basically now what that means is that the U.S. military can conduct anti-terrorism activity on U.S. soil against U.S. citizens. And what that means is that you can be detained indefinitely by a military tribunal for being a suspected terrorist. And can I tell you, they still haven't defined what that is, what a terrorist really is. We also had something called the Food Safety Act that came out in 2010. I love that name, the Food Safety Act. And basically what that's doing as we speak is it is putting small to medium-sized organic farms out of business. It is too expensive for them, with all the regulations, to keep in business. And ironically, the only companies that can actually afford it are companies like Monsanto. And for those of you that know about Monsanto, they're the biggest proponents of genetically modified food. Now, is this weird? Our biggest proponents of organic food are now going to be the biggest proponents of genetically modified food. I mean, something's not right here, right? I mean, something's just weird. Excuse me. And I won't go off on a tangent. I promise you I won't be talking. And I'll move into more positive things in just a moment, I promise you. This is the wake-up portion of my wake-up. We're the ones we've been waiting for. But when we're talking about genetically modified foods and Monsanto, there are a lot of ties between our federal government and Monsanto. In fact, there's so many that there's Facebook, viral, YouTube going around right now with a list and somebody telling you how many. It's out there. But the latest one is someone named Michael Taylor. He was the chief vice president, former, an attorney and a chief lobbyist of Monsanto. And he was just appointed to a brand new position at the FDA. He's the new chief safety czar. He's our food safety czar. So, okay, again, we've got this bizarre situation where we've got our new food safety czar, who's also the biggest proponent of genetically modified foods. I mean, something's not right out here, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. And if you're not eating organic, I just want to let you know, the USDA has basically said that if there's a 90% chance that the soy that you're eating, that the papaya, the flax, the potatoes, the tomatoes, the corn, it's all genetically modified. And I don't know about you guys, but if you ever take the time to look up into our skies, I don't know, they're not blue all the time anymore. Something funny happening up there. There's these geometric patterns, and they look like tic-tac-toe boards up there. You know? It's crazy. Yeah, chemtrails. And God bless Michael Murphy. I hope every single one of you in the audience has seen his documentary, What in the World Are They Spraying? Soon to be followed, Why in the World Are They Spraying? Well, I'll tell you, it's not speculation. What they're spraying is aerosols. They're spraying aluminum, strontium, and barium. And I don't know why yet, but it can't be good for us. Just can't be good. Right? Just can't. So, you know, it's no wonder that we're all feeling small. It's no easy that we can fall into despair, maybe anger, frustration. We feel like, what can we do? You know, we're so small, and here's this relentless and oppressive machine. So we go on Facebook, social media, we sign petitions, we get involved, we go to wonderful events that Karen and other people put on, we sign names, and we support the movement, let's say, whatever your movement is. But in the end, I think we all feel like there's got to be more, right? This isn't enough. There's got to be more. This can't be enough, actually, right? Things are happening too fast. We've got to find out how to be more effective. And is it also any surprise that there's a lot of us out there, either secretly or not so secretly, waiting for the second coming, right? We're waiting for that rapture. We're waiting for the Galactic Federation to come on down, and Bashar's ship that's up there above Sedona, I think, still, and the Arcturians and the Pleiadians or Jesus. We're waiting for some external savior to come in and help rescue us because we feel so small. I really empathize. I understand how so many of us are just waiting desperately for that to happen, and soon, and soon. But, you know, I've given this a lot of thought, and of course the one thought I have is, what if that's not going to happen? You know, what if there's no external, codependent rescuer, federation that's going to come down and help us? You know, what if we're it? And what if every single thing that we need, we've already got? We've already got. It's right here, right here. It's in this room. It's around us. It surrounds us. It's in you. It's in me. It's like the air we breathe. What if it's already here? All that divine matrix, the divine intelligence, creator, God, whatever it is you call it, what if it is right here? And I know I'm singing to the choir in this crowd. We already know all this, but it's right here. And what if what we're really here to do today and in Sedona and on our spiritual quest at this time is to figure out a way to tap into it? To really figure out how to maybe use this body technology we've got. I mean, this amazing organic technology that is us, that maybe we're just here to learn how to use it, to manage it, to run our energy, to source from this amazing field that is around us. I mean, what if that's what this is all about? Because I think it is. I think that is exactly what 2012, I think that's exactly what this consciousness evolution we're in the middle of is. I think that is exactly what this Heart Wisdom Conference is all about. We are here waking up to the fact that this amazing, fleshy thing is so unbelievably powerful, we have just started to open up to the possibility. Just started. Now, I'm going to show you guys something. This is my smartphone right here. And I don't know if any of you guys have one. This is a Droid. I know there's iPhones and stuff too. But a few months ago, I got this. Dean and I are both woefully technologically challenged, but we felt like we needed this. We had one of those goofy flip phones for a long time, and everyone made fun of us, so here's our smartphone. And when I got this, I was really amazed and incredibly overwhelmed and incredibly intimidated because I didn't quite know what to do with it, right? I got this really pretty butterfly case, and I stuck it on the counter, and I plugged it in, and for weeks it just sat there because I didn't know what the hell to do with it, and it scared me to death. There's no buttons on it. There's just this big screen. And finally I realized I really ought to take it down to the Verizon shop and figure out what the heck to do with it. And I couldn't believe what I could do with it. There are these things called apps. You guys heard of apps? They're like these little computer programs, and you can download them from anywhere. And all of a sudden, if you are directionally challenged, which I am, and technologically challenged, wherever I am and I'm lost a lot, I can find out where I am and where I'm going. I can, if I'm worrying about Monsanto and what they're up to, I can Google them and find out the latest news. You know, I can talk to my friends across the world. I mean, it's unbelievable what that little piece of technology can do. It really is. I'm connected. I'm connected. And I'm really sorry to give you this super cheesy analogy, but what if we are like the smartphones, right? I mean, what if we're like the smartphones? For millennia, we've been sitting around, maybe we're plugged in, I don't know, a little plugged in, getting a little charge. We've got this like really pretty case, you know, we take care of the case. And yet we are so clueless as to everything we can do, like clueless. And maybe that's what we're here doing. We're finding that we are those amazing smartphones, and we all of a sudden are so curious, like, who are we? What are we? How can we get these apps? How can we get turned on and plugged in? And I think that's what we're here doing right now. How do we get plugged in, you know, turned on? Well, I'll tell you that the way that we get turned on is something that we've been hearing a lot about this weekend. And the word that I'm going to use, because I really love it, is the word coherence. And we've been hearing a lot about the word coherence, right? Dr. Joe started us off on that, kicked us off. And when I talk about coherence, I mean the mind and the heart alignment. I mean the focused, heart-based, intentional energy that we send out to the universe. Because when we are coherent, we have power. When we are coherent, we resonate. And we have a high frequency. And we vibrate at a higher, more powerful level. When we are coherent, that is when we're able to tap into this unified field, this divine intelligence that we are surrounded in. That is when we are not so clueless that we can't hear all those apps and all those downloads that are coming at us every moment of every day. That is when we are like humming with our soul song. That is when we're humming with the universe, right? It's powerful stuff. And science has been showing us for a few years now that when we're coherent, we actually literally affect the world that we live in. You know, this isn't some woo-woo, new age, you know, Sedona thing. This is the real deal. I mean, the science is showing this too. And so I'm just going to share with you just a few of the studies that probably most of you are very aware of, but that still blow my mind, and I really want to share with you because these are scientific research studies, and it shows you what we can do when we are in a state of coherence. Well, we've all heard about Dr. Masaru Emoto's work, right? And Dr. Emoto's work, and then many, many beautiful people like Lynn McTaggart and others have continued on with the research. But when we have that focused, heart-based intent, we can clean polluted waterways because we can change the molecular structure of water, and we can raise the pH balance in polluted water systems. That's pretty powerful stuff, right? And we affect the plants around us. We affect the plant world. At McGill University, they had some studies where one group were taking care of some plants, and they were healers, and they were sending off this beautiful love, this coherent state of love to these plants, watering them, but really getting to that beautiful heart-based sense. And the plants flourished. It was an amazing, amazing experiment because not only did the plants flourish, but they grew bigger than they ever could possibly imagine, bigger than these types of plants had ever grown before. And the other group were the plants were being taken care of by a group of people who were very depressed and had a lot of psychotic energy. They were very incoherent. And can I tell you, without one different experimental result, all of the plants ended up dying. That's amazing. And they were both being watered. It wasn't that. It was just what was going on with this coherence or incoherence that they were experiencing. And one of my very favorite studies was done by Dean Radin at the Institute of Noetic Studies, where it's called the Love Study. And the husband and wife would come in, and the wife would go off into one room, and the husband would be in the other. And during certain timed intervals, he'd send his wife just that beautiful, coherent state of love and passion and beauty. And the wife's subtle energy and physical body reacted each and every time. Her blood pressure would go up, her heart rate would go up, perspiration rate would go up. And when he would stop, it would all go back down. And this was just through his coherent heart state. And probably my favorite study, because it just blew my mind the first time I read about it, was something done through the Institute of Heart Math, where they had one research group. Well, let's say each research group got vials of human placental DNA. And one group took the DNA and they sent this DNA focused, heart-based, intentional love and nurturing. And the other group, very incoherent state, sent it hate and just fear. Well, the love group found that the DNA, it relaxed and it elongated, expanded. And the other group found that the DNA tightened up. And in some cases, it actually shut down, reversed, and switched off its genetic code. And if that doesn't say something to each one of you sitting out there, I don't know what else does. That is unbelievable and mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing. That is just through being in a state of coherence. And we all know about the Maharishi effect. Maharishi effect. In the 1970s, there were 24 cities that participated in this research project. And a very, very small percentage of each city were trained in transcendental meditation. And through this, they would go into these meditative states as a cohesive group, and the crime rates dropped in the city. The ER visits dropped in the city. Now, they took this study over to the Middle East, thank goodness, and in the 1980s, they did something called the International Peace Project. At that point, Israel and Lebanon were at war. And they did the same transcendental meditation with a real focus on going into that heart space. And it turned out that the acts of terrorism almost went down to zero, and in some cases actually did, during those periods of time. Again, traffic accidents also decreased, as well as did ER visits. I mean, are you getting how powerful we are? I mean, this is unbelievable to me, and every time I read this, it just opens my heart that much more. And this is the piece I love. It doesn't take that many of us to actually make a difference. After all this research, they came up with a formula. It's the square root of 1% of a population. Now, the square root of 1% of the population of our planet, which is about 7 billion right now, it's only 9,000 people. That's it. Just 9,000 of us. 9,000 of us that need to move more towards that state of coherence, that heart-based, focused, intentional place, in order to make substantive, real changes in our world. And if that does not excite you, I mean, that's hope, right? That's hope. That is absolute 100% hope. So, you know, I heard about coherence. I go to a lot of these talks. I'm like a conference junkie. And I get really excited because I'm like, yes, sign me up. I'm a believer. But now what? You know, what do I do? You know, I'm not coherent. I'm pretty sure of that. So what do I need to do? You know, I need some help. So how do we get coherent? How do we do this? And the really amazing and fabulous and really good news is that's what you've been learning about this entire conference. There has not been one speaker standing before you that has not been teaching you tools on how to reach that state of coherence. There has not been one of them. You know, we kicked off Friday night with Wokasara. Did you see them calling in the directions? Calling in God, calling in whatever that means to you, opening that heart space. That gets you to a place of coherence. We had Cynthia James giving you all those tools about how to heal your fragmented heart. And Dr. Joe, my God, this is his life's work. It's all about how to activate this body-type technology, right? It's all about waking this up, you know, leaving behind the old and going to the new. And he's giving a workshop tomorrow, and I'm telling you, me and my cheering section will all be there, because that's what this entire day is going to be about tomorrow. It's pretty something else. We had Bear, we got to go to crop circles, right? We've got to meditate, do yoga. We've learned tools. You've got tools. It's possible. And there's just not one way. There's many ways to get to coherence, and you need to find your own. But I'm here to share you my way, or one of them, It's a way that it's a practice that I use. It's a practice we teach at the sanctuary, and it's a powerful one. And my practice is, how do we begin to source from our future higher self rather than always be sourcing from our past? This might sound familiar, Dr. Joe. So how do we go there? That's important stuff. You know, how do we not continually go back to the old dry wells? How do we not continue to source from all those old stories, right? Because we are a culture that's linear, and typically for most of us, what happens to me today or tomorrow is completely dependent on what happened to me yesterday. So for me, let's see, at 5 years old, you know, my mom and dad divorced. My dad left, I felt abandoned. Later on down the line, I had a stepfather who was sexually inappropriate, betrayal issues. You know, let's move on down a few more years. I've got, you know, a couple bad marriages under my belt. And it's no wonder, right? Because I had all this betrayal and abandonment, and I can't trust any men, right? That's my story. Or it was. That was my story. It's no longer my story. And my guess is all of you out there have your own story, you know? It could be that the world is really unsafe, that you have to kind of always be hypervigilant, waiting for that other shoe to drop. Maybe it's that you feel a little defective or unworthy. I mean, weren't we taught that we were all born in original sin, right? Whatever that is. Maybe you are an addict or a codependent or an abuse survivor or a fighter. We've all got our stories, And I will say that for myself, I am greatly honoring of all of my stories. I am not up here to knock the story, because for my own life, my story was my greatest coping mechanism up until not too long ago. It kept me sane, it protected me, it kept me safe. We need our stories. Till now, right? Till now. It's time we have to release our stories. The time has really come that we no longer can be indulging our stories, right? We need to take the gift from our stories, we need to take the teaching, and we need to let the rest go. Because if we don't, we are stuck. And when we start identifying with our story, we are in trouble, like big trouble. You know, Einstein said we cannot solve the problems of our world with the same thinking that we use to create it. Well, we can't be creating new paradigms. You know, we can't be creating a world of love and peace and connection if we are creating our world through old stories and old filters of betrayal and abandonment and wounds and trauma, right? But we are a society that loves our stories. We carry it around like a bag of trash. And every time we go, and there's a new betrayal and a new breakup and a new heartache and a new therapist, we just pull that trash bag out and we pick up each piece. Oh, this is when my parents left me, you know, at 5 and I was abandoned. Or, oh, this is that ex-husband who was a so-and-so. And instead of then just throwing it out, we stick it back in the bag and we like pick it back up and we keep going on until someone else is patient enough to listen to us, you know? And we just keep carrying it around. Well, I'm telling you, it's time. We've got to get rid of that bag of trash. I mean, we really have to. And this isn't just some like self-help thing. It's that we are indulgent otherwise because we are at a crisis point. You know, I know a lot of you may have heard Greg Braden here not too long ago, and he talked about this. We really are. I don't consider that a bad thing, but it's definitely a call to action. And I'm telling you, the first action you all need to do is get rid of that bag of trash. You know, throw it out. Because it's time that we start sourcing from that higher self, that future self of infinite possibilities. The time has come. And I don't know about you, but my stories are so boring. They bore me, and I know they bore everyone around me, and they're exhausting. They leak my vital life force energy. I am so tired of myself, right? And it's a lot more fun and exciting and interesting to start sourcing from that future self. Doesn't that sound better to all of you? I mean, let's do that. Let's start sourcing from our future self, right? All right, let's do that.